Everyone, welcome back. Today, we're going to be diving into something pretty interesting. We're going to be talking about how we can make manufacturing more sustainable, without having to uh, sacrifice profits, right? I think it's a question that a lot of businesses are kind of grappling with right now. And thankfully, there's a resource out there that might actually help us find some answers. It's called the Twin 4.0 Transition Training Course.
Yeah, that's right. This isn't just like another online course.
Mm.
It's really a deep dive into how digital technologies can completely revolutionize the way we manufacture things, make it greener and be more profitable.
Okay, so this training is on something called the Twin 4.0 Learning Portal,
Right.
and anyone can access it.
Exactly, yeah.
But what I thought was really interesting is that they use something called Johnson's Four Boxes business model
Yeah.
as a framework.
Yeah, absolutely.
So can you tell me what is that about? What's so fascinating about that approach?
Well, I think the simplest way to think about Johnson's model
Mm-hmm.
is like a blueprint for any business.
Mm.
It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what you're doing, what you're making, what you're selling. You've got these four interconnected boxes: value proposition, key resources, key processes, and profit formula.
Okay.
The first two boxes, they help you define what exactly you're offering, what you're putting out there, and what you need to actually make it happen. And then the last two, those describe how that value, what you're putting out there actually turns into success. Success for both the customer and the company itself.
Okay, I see. I'm starting to see how this could be helpful, how this could be really useful. But how does it connect to this whole idea of twin transition?
Well, I think what makes this training so brilliant is it uses that four boxes model, and it breaks down how twin transition can be applied to, well, really every single aspect of a manufacturing business. And it gives you like a holistic view, right, of how to integrate sustainability into the core of what you're doing into your operations. It's about finding those win-win solutions, right? Where being green also means boosting your bottom line.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So the course is structured around these four boxes,
Yeah,
and it turns them into modules, right?
exactly. Yeah.
But before we kind of jump into each of those modules, I'd love to just get a quick overview of what each box actually represents.
Okay, sure.
So let's start with that first box, the value proposition.
Okay, so value proposition, this is all about really understanding what it is your customers truly value,
Yeah.
what they want, and how can you deliver that to them in a way that is both sustainable and profitable, right? It's about going beyond just selling a product. It's about
Mm.
creating a more complete offering that really meets the needs of the customer while also minimizing your environmental impact.
Okay, that makes sense. And what about the second box, key resources? What kind of resources are we talking about here?
So you could think of this as like the foundation of your business.
Yeah.
It's about identifying and managing those key resources.
Hmm.
And of course, we're talking about the materials that you need, the energy you're using, and even the human capital, the people
Yeah.
that you need to create and deliver that value proposition.
Yeah.
And of course, doing all of that in a way that is sustainable and doesn't deplete the planet.
Yeah.
You know.
Right, because in today's world, resource scarcity is a real concern. So how does this training address that?
Well, it gives you the tools and the knowledge you need to really optimize the way you're using those resources,
Mm.
minimize waste, and even embrace circular economy principles,
Mhm.
where materials are being kept in use for as long as possible.
Okay.
It's all about creating this like closed loop system where waste is minimized and resources are constantly being regenerated.
Okay, so this is starting to sound less like a training course and more like a complete business like transformation. But how do all these pieces actually fit together? How do they work together? That's where the key processes box comes in, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Key process is all about optimizing the way you do things.
Hmm.
All your manufacturing processes, how you manage your supply chain, your logistics. It's about streamlining operations, reducing waste, and minimizing that footprint, that environmental footprint at every stage of the game.
Right.
Think of it like you're fine-tuning the engine of your business to run cleaner and more efficiently.
Okay. Okay. So we've defined our value. We've got a handle on our resources. Our processes are running smoothly. But at the end of the day, businesses need to make money.
Yeah.
So that's where that profit formula box comes in, right?
Exactly, exactly. This is the module that really gets down to the nitty-gritty of how embracing this twin transition can actually boost that bottom line. It explores how sustainable practices can lead to cost reductions, increased efficiency, and even help you develop new and innovative products and services that will appeal to these environmentally conscious customers that are out there.
All right, I gotta admit, I'm already feeling kind of inspired here. But before we dive into each of these modules individually, I'm curious, how does this training actually bring these concepts to life?
Well, instead of being, just dry theory, dry concepts, the training actually uses real-world case studies. And it shows how companies of all sizes are successfully implementing these principles.
Okay, so you can actually see it in action.
Yeah, exactly. You're learning from the companies who are already doing it. They're walking the walk, you can see what's working and get inspired to apply those lessons to your own business.
Okay, that's fantastic. That's a really great approach. So, you ready to jump into that first module?
Let's do it, yeah. I think you'll be surprised by how much practical value we can extract from this. Welcome back. So are you ready to jump into this first module, value proposition? This is where the magic happens.
I love that idea of like magic because it feels like so many companies are out there searching for that secret sauce, how to actually make sustainability profitable.
Yeah.
So how does this module 2 help businesses find that sweet spot?
Well, it all starts with really understanding what your customers truly value.
Hmm.
And I think it's pretty obvious that in today's world, sustainability is a growing concern for a lot of people, right? I mean,
Yeah.
people are looking for products and services that align with their values, and they're willing to pay a premium for it.
So it's not just about being green just for the sake of, checking off a box or something. It's
Right.
about recognizing that sustainability can actually be a real competitive advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. And Module 2 really digs into how companies can use digital technologies
Yeah.
to create those kinds of products and services.
Yeah.
Things that are not only sustainable, but also, highly desirable things that customers really want.
Okay.
One of the key concepts here is personalization.
Personalization. See, I usually hear that word when we're talking about, like online shopping or streaming services.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that apply to manufacturing?
Well, think of it this way. It's about using data, right?
Hmm.
And all these digital tools that we have
Hmm.
to create products and services that are like tailored to each customer's individual needs and preferences. Think about like, those custom designed sneakers you can get online, or, meal kit delivery services, they cater to like special dietary needs.
Yeah.
So imagine applying that same level of personalization to like industrial equipment
Yeah.
or, complex manufacturing processes.
Okay, now you've got my attention. So we're talking about a manufacturer, like
Yeah.
being able to say, hey, we know exactly what you need and we can build it just for you and we can do it sustainably.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's pretty powerful. But I'm wondering, wouldn't that level of customization make things more complex, right?
Yeah.
Potentially less efficient.
That's a valid concern, but that's the beauty of, digital technology, right?
Yeah.
Is that it can actually streamline the process.
Okay.
Things like 3D modeling,
Yeah.
simulation software, advanced automation.
Mhm.
Companies can create these highly customized products without sacrificing that efficiency or having to drive up costs.
So you're saying that mass customization and sustainability can work together.
Yeah, they can actually go hand in hand.
That's a game changer. But how does this actually work? Like what are some real world examples of this? Of these like personalized sustainable products?
Okay, so imagine a company that manufactures industrial pumps. Traditionally, they might have offered, a limited range of standard models.
Yeah.
But now they've got all this data and these digital design tools, right?
Right.
And they can actually create pumps that are like perfectly tailored to each customer's specific needs, taking into account things like the flow rate, the pressure, even the type of fluids being pumped.
So you're not just selling a pump, you're selling a solution, right?
Yeah,
That's optimized for their situation.
exactly.
Yeah.
And because you're only producing what's needed, you're minimizing waste and reducing that impact.
This makes me think about all the waste that happens when companies just produce a bunch of stuff that nobody really wants or needs.
Right.
And personalization seems like a powerful way to avoid that problem.
Absolutely. And it goes beyond just the products themselves, right? It's about the whole customer experience.
Yeah.
You can use digital tools to provide that personalized support, maintenance, even upgrades throughout the entire life cycle of a product.
So it's about building those long-term relationships with the customers.
Yeah.
It's not just about making that one-time sale. That's just a smart business strategy, period.
Exactly. Now, another key part of this value proposition module is collaborative design and development. And this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm picturing like a bunch of engineers huddled around a whiteboard, like brainstorming.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling it's a little more high tech than that, right?
You're on the right track. We're talking about these cloud-based platforms where engineers, designers, even customers, they can all work together on product development
Oh, wow.
in real time, no matter where they're located.
So it's like a virtual design studio where everyone can contribute their ideas, they can see the changes instantly, and they can work together seamlessly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you add in tools like 3D modeling and simulation software, you can really push the boundaries of what's possible.
This seems like it would be a really powerful tool for companies with like global teams or suppliers.
Hmm.
Right, no more flying people all over the world for meetings.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
that's good for the environment and the bottom line.
It is. It's all about breaking down those silos,
Uh-huh.
and fostering a much more collaborative and sustainable approach to product development. And it's not just about efficiency. It's about being able to tap into this much wider pool of talent and perspectives.
I can see how that would lead to more innovative and more sustainable products. When you bring all those voices to the table, you're going to come up with solutions that you might not have considered otherwise.
Exactly. Now, the third piece of this value proposition puzzle is supply chain optimization.
Okay.
And this is where things get really, really interesting in terms of sustainability.
Right, because, having a smooth and efficient supply chain,
Yeah.
it's not just about getting products to customers faster,
Mhm.
right? It's also about minimizing waste, reducing the impact on the environment.
Exactly. And this is where technologies like blockchain and the Internet of Things, IoT, really come into play.
Okay, I've heard a lot of buzz about those technologies, but to be honest, I don't really know how they work, especially when we're talking about manufacturing.
Right.
Can you break it down for me?
Sure. So imagine a world where every product, every single component, every raw material has this like digital passport,
Right.
and it tracks its journey, from the very beginning, from its origin to its final destination.
Oh, wow.
That's what blockchain enables.
So it's like a permanent record. It's
Yes.
unalterable
Right.
and it gives you complete transparency into the supply chain.
Exactly. And then when you combine blockchain with IoT sensors,
Yeah.
right,
Right.
that can track things like location, temperature, even the condition of the goods,
Yeah.
in transit.
Yeah.
You've got this incredibly powerful tool for optimizing your supply chain, minimizing waste, and just making sure that your products are high quality and authentic.
So you can see where everything is at any given time,
Yeah.
which helps with planning and efficiency. But how does that tie into sustainability?
Well, that real-time visibility, that allows companies to like pinpoint those bottlenecks.
Mm.
They can optimize routes, reduce their transportation costs, and even track the environmental impact of each step in the process. You can see where energy is being wasted, where materials are being held up, and where you can make improvements.
And that's where blockchain comes in, right?
Yeah.
Because it gives you that secure, transparent way to track the history of those materials and products. You can be sure that they're coming from sustainable and ethical sources.
Exactly. Consumers are demanding more transparency and accountability from companies.
Right.
And blockchain lets companies meet those demands and build that trust with their customers.
It's about moving beyond, just making vague claims about being sustainable
Right.
and actually providing the evidence. You're actually showing people that you're walking the walk. This is incredible. I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together,
Mhm.
the personalization, the collaboration, this transparent and optimized supply chain. It's not just about like adopting a single technology, right? It's about finding the right mix of tools and strategies to create this truly sustainable and successful business model.
Exactly. That's the beauty of this whole twin transition. It's a holistic approach. It recognizes that all these elements are interconnected.
Now, before we move on, I have to ask about the environmental impact of all this smart technology.
Yeah.
I mean all these servers and data centers, they require energy to run, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't that contribute to the problem they're trying to solve?
That's a great question. And we have to acknowledge that digitalization itself isn't automatically sustainable, right?
Right.
I mean, all those servers and data centers, they require a lot of power.
Yeah.
And if that power is coming from fossil fuels, well, we're not really solving the problem, are we?
So it seems like it's a bit of a balancing act, right?
Yeah.
You've got to leverage the power of digitalization while also minimizing its environmental footprint.
Exactly. And that's why the training also explores solutions like, energy efficient data centers, renewable energy sources,
Yeah.
and even this idea of a circular economy for digital devices.
Okay.
Where we're reducing reusing and recycling electronics to minimize that waste and conserve resources.
So it's not a free pass, but it's about being mindful and finding solutions that are actually sustainable in the long run.
Exactly. We got to be honest about the challenges,
Yeah.
but we should also be optimistic about how technology can drive that positive change.
Okay, I'm feeling much more confident about the role that technology can play in building a more sustainable future. So are you ready to move on to module 3, key operations?
Absolutely. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of how digital and green transformation can optimize all those core processes that make a manufacturing business tick.
Okay, so we spent some time talking about how to actually create a really compelling and sustainable value proposition for customers. But now I'm curious, how do we actually deliver on those promises? That's where module 3, key operations, comes in, right?
Exactly. Yeah. This module is all about optimizing the heart of your manufacturing business,
Yeah. Yeah.
those core processes that take raw materials and transform them into the finished product.
Yeah.
And we want to do that in a way that's efficient, but also environmentally responsible, right?
So this is where we really get into the nuts and bolts of making things in a smarter and greener way. But I mean, there are so many different processes involved in manufacturing. Where do we even begin?
Well, a great starting point is eco-design.
Eco design. Okay.
And you might be thinking, wait, isn't that part of the value proposition?
Hmm.
And you'd be right, it is. But it's also about considering the environmental impact of a product through its entire life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like from the materials you're using to how it's manufactured to, how it's ultimately disposed of.
So it's not just about slapping a recycled label on something and calling it a day. It's really about thinking about the big picture.
Exactly. Yeah. It's about minimizing waste, reducing energy consumption, and creating products that can, be easily taken apart and recycled at the end. I mean, think about it this way. If you're designing, let's say, a car, wouldn't it be great if at the end of its life you could take it apart and recycle most of its parts?
Yeah, instead of just sending the whole thing to a landfill.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. But how do digital technologies help companies actually, implement those eco design principles? Because it seems like that would require a pretty big shift in thinking.
Well, that's where tools like 3D modeling and simulation software come in. They allow those designers to experiment with different materials and manufacturing processes, and they can do this virtually before anything's physically built. They can optimize for, both performance and sustainability without generating a bunch of waste in the process.
So it's kind of like a virtual prototyping lab
Yeah.
where you can test all these different ideas and see what works best, and you don't have to create all those, physical prototypes.
That's exactly it. And it's not just about the initial design either. Once you have that product designed for sustainability, then these digital technologies can help optimize the actual manufacturing process itself.
Oh, okay. So give me some examples. I'd love to hear how this works, in a real factory setting.
Okay, well, one area where digitalization is having a big impact is in predictive maintenance.
Predictive maintenance.
Yeah, imagine if you could predict when a piece of equipment was going to fail
Uh-huh.
and then fix it before it actually broke down.
Okay, yeah.
That's what predictive maintenance is all about.
Right. So that not only saves money and prevents downtime, but it also extends the life of the equipment. You're not having to replace things as often, so you're not generating as much waste.
Exactly. It's about getting the most value out of those assets and keeping them running smoothly. Another area where digital tools are really changing things is in process optimization. By collecting all this data on things like energy consumption, material usage, emissions, you can actually see where you can make improvements
Right.
and make your production processes more efficient and sustainable.
So it's like you have this constant feedback loop where you're always learning and refining based on that real-time data.
Exactly. And remember those intelligent logistics and supply chain solutions that we talked about earlier?
Mm-hmm.
Those are crucial here too. It's all about getting those right materials to the right place at the right time. And of course, you want to do it all while minimizing your impact on the environment.
It's all starting to connect now. It's not just about these isolated technologies. It's about creating a truly integrated system, right?
Yeah.
Where every step of the way, every step in that process is optimized for sustainability and profitability.
Exactly. And let's not forget about quality control and traceability. Customers these days, they really want to know where their products are coming from, how they're made, and these digital technologies can provide that transparency and build that trust.
Yeah, so if there's a problem, you can trace it right back to the source,
Right.
figure out what went wrong. That's good for quality control, but it's also just essential for accountability.
It is. It's about creating a more responsible and transparent manufacturing ecosystem.
Yeah.
And speaking of responsibility, we got to talk about human-machine collaboration.
Okay, now this is where things start to feel like really futuristic to me. Am I picturing like robots working side by side with humans on the factory floor?
That's it. That's happening now.
Yeah.
These collaborative robots or cobots, they're designed to work safely alongside people,
Okay.
helping out with tasks that are maybe, repetitive or dangerous or that require a lot of precision.
So it's not about replacing those human workers.
Right.
It's about enhancing their capabilities and creating a safer, more efficient workplace.
Exactly. And in a lot of cases, this type of collaboration, it can actually lead to new jobs being created, more fulfilling jobs for people, as they move into roles that require more creativity, problem solving, critical thinking.
It sounds like the future of manufacturing is about finding that perfect balance,
Yeah,
between human ingenuity and technological innovation.
I think you nailed it.
Wow, this has been an incredible journey through Module 3, Key Operations. It's just amazing to see how digitalization is completely changing the way we manufacture things, making it cleaner, more efficient, and more human-centered.
It really is inspiring.
Yeah.
I think it's just, exciting to see how these technologies are helping companies to create a more sustainable and prosperous future.
And to our listeners who are eager to learn more about this world of sustainable manufacturing, I really encourage you to check out the Twin 4.0 Learning Portal.
Yeah, definitely do.
This training course, it's like a roadmap to a future where profitability and environmental responsibility go hand in hand.
Just imagine the possibilities if your company could use these principles.
Yeah.
What kind of impact could you create for your business, your customers, and for the planet?
That's a powerful thought to leave everyone with. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. We'll see you next time.